where it's quiet, because I really don't have any quiet spaces in my everyday life. Even if I'm sitting at home by myself, my brain just kind of never shuts off.
This is very interesting for me.
Why?
This evolution for you?
Why?
Because your mind is an ever-going thing.
Mm-hmm.
So finding calm for you is, I actually would like to see that.
So that's why I go on those river, like I have I have a few favorite river spots that I go to, but when I go, it's always by myself. I don't like to take anyone with me. And it's genuinely the only time and place that I can go and sit somewhere and my brain just shuts up. And I think it's because of all of the natural noises that are going on around me that all of a sudden I become in tune to.
Yeah.
That it makes I don't have voices in my head, but it makes the internal chatter that's going on. It just makes it not a thing.
So yeah, and you've shared on podcasts before about some of your past. And you've led a very chaotic life, through childhood up till now. And for me, like, I would love to see that evolution for you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna lie, and we talked about something. It was not too long ago, and it was just. We're not, because I haven't asked you if you want to reveal this on the podcast, so I'm not going to blindside you with it. But it was the person that you called and how it changed what was going on with you. And after she called somebody in her life that was very chaotic to her. And, after I got off, she was like, you don't pass judgment on me. Don't tell me I told you so. I don't want to hear that. I just want to, she just needed to get out the pain that she was feeling. And literally, when we were talking about whether or not she should call this person, I said to myself, she's going to call. She's going to call. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, man, it's like the chaos that happens, it's like you can't, like you couldn't avoid it. So I'm not gonna lie, that is one resolution or a goal that I would love to see for you, because I think the noises that happen in your head, if you were to be able to like calm that shit, I think you would make leaps and bounds in your life. Leaps and bounds, because it's the silence that kills you. It's the silence that kills you. I would love to see that for you. Love to see that shit for you. And my goal for 2023 was my health. I wanted to get healthier. Like, I don't set resolutions myself. I wanted to get healthier, And for 2023 and beyond, it's just, for me, it's about finding peace and happiness. I actually wanted to talk about happiness, but we're not going to get into it because we're all over the place today. But
that's what today was about.
That's right.
Like, yeah, I would love to see that shit for you. Love to see that shit for you.
That is the goal.
I would love to see that shit for you.
Like, if you could quiet that, we're gonna go camping.
Like, if you could quiet that noise, man.
I think for me though, the wanting to do it solo is the bigger thing.
Right.
I want to go out there and do it by myself and be self-sufficient and not be scared. That's I want to be able to master these things and just not be afraid. And I probably watch way too much Naked and Afraid. I know I do. But that has inspired me, because when you are, I just kind of feel like when you are self-sufficient and resilient in nature, a real connection starts to happen, right? You have a better understanding of just like how you work as a person, how the world works, how nature works. And that's, I don't know. I'm just, that's the journey that I want to be on right now.
I want to help you through this situation. Our boy, Mike Monahan, Grizzly Smurf.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He has traveled the Pacific Trail from California all the way up to Canada, right? Solo. It took him how many days?
No, he left in June. He came back in November.
The United States has
months.
3 different trails: one on the East Coast, one in the Midwest, and one in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Right, and so one of them's to Canada, down from whatever. He did all 3 trails.
Oh wow!
And he's the 3rd African American that's ever done it.
Yeah.
And
See,
so,
because it's a white people.
So definitely 100%. I am going to reach out to him. I don't know where he's at right now.
I think he's back because Peanut
Is he
saw
back?
him last week at Safeway in Falls Church, so he's back.
I would love to see, because I think that would make a major breakthrough. Well, I have questions myself. First of all, why? Right?
We should have him on the podcast.
Like, yeah, I want to
Damn
reach.
it.
I want to reach out to
Do
him because obviously, well, he is a licensed therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost. So
He's got 2
on-
masters.
He's on his own spiritual journey, and he's also helped a lot of people. But like, I watch his journey online, all his posts, and I'm saying to myself, wow, I don't know if I could do that shit.
But I think that you have a different viewpoint of going out and camping and doing all of that shit because of what you do every day for a living. You're like, look, I deal with grass, trees, bushes. I don't want to go somewhere and just be immersed in that. But that's because you're doing it as a job versus doing it as a quiet, let me get more grounded, let me get more connected, and do like a more introspective kind of search for yourself in that natural environment versus working.
Yeah,
in
I'm
that
definitely going to
environment.
reach out to Mike. Mike, shout out to you, Grizzly Smurf. I'm going to hit you up, a little bit. And
I honestly think that dude, is that his name on Instagram?
Grizzly Smurf.
Yeah, I think
He
so.
follows me.
Does he?
Yes, and has for a few years, and that's which is really odd. As soon as you said that, I was like, wait, I know that name. He follows me on Instagram.
So yeah,
Who doesn't?
I'm
Girl,
definitely gonna reach out to him because, like I said, his story is just interesting to me.
I have so many questions for him.
I got so many questions.
probably have the
So
same
wait,
questions.
we're digressing. What's your 2024 resolution?
I mean, my resolution is really just is this is so vague, but truly find internal happiness. Like, one of my biggest ones is financial freedom, but that's that I've already set that in motion. But it's really, for me, is just trying to find that internal happiness. It's finding my definition of happiness. I am not a depressed person. I don't deal with depression. And that probably has to do with somewhat I have an avoidance part of me as well, because I avoid a lot of nonsense that may cause me depression. So yeah, for me, it's just really about finding that internal happiness. And what does that mean for me? Because it means something different for everybody. And that's where I am. I'm just, it's just finding that internal happiness because, some people get money, they have a good job, but man, they're freaking miserable, man. Like I see it. Like there's this one customer I have. He makes so much money. Wife makes so much money, but I can just see the unhappiness in them because they're so irritated by the smallest little thing.
Do they have time to enjoy the money that they
I
make,
don't
or
know.
are they always working for the money?
They're always working. They're always
that's
working.
sad.
They're always working. And that's the thing, even when they work from home, they're so irritated by the smallest of things, because we take care of their property and the littlest thing just irritates them. I mean, they get so annoyed by just the smallest little details. And I say to myself, I'm like, dog, have you looked at the house that you live in?
But you know what, though? Some people, because everything's so perfect on the outside, they bitch about small things because they don't have anything else. Because I've got the nice car, the nice house, the nice wife, the nice kids. It's unfortunate, but we all have to have something to complain about. It's just natural human nature.
That's the whole thing about when is enough enough.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right on that. And you can sit around and complain all the time, but us being on the other side of this non-magical lifestyle, we're like, oh, I would be so happy if I had A, B,
People
C.
can never answer that question. When is enough enough? People can never answer that question until they have lost everything.
Mhm.
So that they can truly assess what was actually enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's
I'm going to say from my perspective, from my life, when everything goes to shit is when you can really,
Assess what's important.
yeah, basically.
I had everything. I had a house, 2 cars, more furniture than I knew what to do with. My kids were fucking spoiled and had 9 different kinds of wardrobes in the house. It was ridiculous. But the minute I became homeless and had to attain objects back, that's when the assessment happened. I lost everything, and then all of a sudden when I'm starting to get things again, and I'm like, you know what?
I didn't need that.
That wasn't really that important. This was more important than that. It changes
perspective.
it changes your perspective on what's important.
Saw a podcast the other day that said people only talk about money's not important because they don't have money. Who agrees with that?
Yeah, we talked about money before.
People only talk about money not being important when they have money.
Facts.
That's things that rich people say. Money's
Yeah.
not that important.
Because-
It's not important because you
Yeah,
have it.
like your boy Gary Vee.
Yeah.
And we do like Gary Vee, but yeah, like it's easy for
It's
him
easy
to
for
say
him-
it because he's there now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Like, he
Like-
doesn't have to wonder where his next meal, his medication, whether his place of where he lives is being paid, his car payment, or his kids, or everything's taken care of, and you never have to worry about it.
Yeah.
How can you
it's
not?
easy to
This-
solve problems with
This
money.
Right. They
this-
solve problems with money, and if you
this
don't have money,
podcast-
you have problems.
So this guy on this podcast, and I can't remember who it was, he was saying the opposite. He was saying people without money say money isn't everything because they don't have any money.
I have never come across somebody without money who says money isn't everything. I
Yeah.
have come across every single person with money that says
Or people who-
money's not everything.
Or people who didn't have money before and then have it later always say, I've had money and I haven't had money, and I'll take having money every time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because when you don't have something, you learn to live without certain things. When
Now,
you have
if
money,
you have
you can't
$2
live without
billion
anything.
or $4 billion, that kind, again, it
Not
gets
having
to
money-
that marginal area.
Not having money sucks.
The
It's-
big fat one.
So Mark Cuban, he was on an interview not too long ago, and he said, he said, you know what I hate to hear from these billionaire assholes, which he is one of them, right? He's like, you know what I hate to hear from these billionaire assholes? He's like, I could lose everything right now and I could go from 0 to $1 billion again. He's like, bullshit.
No, it's circumstances. Everything has to line up.
He's like,
yes, sure, tell you how hard
I think
you work,
maybe
but
Mark
1% of people that maybe out of 100, maybe that could happen, but the rest of them,
Well, there's that reality show. Have you watched that reality show on the CNBC where there's there's this guy. He's a billionaire in real life, and he goes to town. He's got 40 days to start a business and make $1 million, and he does this consistently. Like he goes out
a million's different than
a million. So there's this one town he goes to. Right, it's somewhere in West Virginia. All right, so he's stuck there. He's got $100 to his name. He's trying to find a place. He sleeps in his truck. He has a truck. He goes and buys tires, and he sells the tires. He starts flipping these things, and eventually he buys a restaurant. He's making $100,000 a week out of that restaurant.
yeah, but that is the exception,
He
not
has-
the rule.
He has.
But it's a show, and it's happening
he-
all the time.
The issue is that he has acquired the skills
And the
Right.
knowledge
and the knowledge
to
to
circumvent.
be able to get
Survive,
to that,
yeah.
get to that, go from 0 to 100.
And some people just have the Midas touch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true.
They're just like,
But let me just say this: if you take all these people and I'm not trying to make it political, but if you take like senators and representatives and whatever their titles are, and every time they want to close down the government, if they don't get paid, I promise you, their outlook on life will be a little bit different because they're making $250 plus a year. If they don't get their money, like if you work for the government and you're off for 15 and 16 days, they don't give a shit.
Well,
but
Warren-
let them do it, and it's going to look different.
Warren Buffett said in an interview that he could solve the inflation, he could solve the debt, he could solve every financial problem in America in an instant. Guess what? And can anybody guess what? I don't know if anybody saw this interview.
I did not.
You do not.
And Warren Buffett said, if you make a rule that if inflation goes to XYZ, if the national debt goes to XYZ, if anything that happens financially in this country goes to XYZ, that all sitting members of Congress and the House of Representatives are ineligible to get reelected,
Oh, they would, yeah.
that problem be solved.
I totally agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
That problem will
because
be solved.
that will affect. See, if you're rich and it affects your pockets, your outlook is much different.
Mm-hmm.
People like me, we're street people. We got to figure it out right now. We don't have. There's no background. There's no handouts. There's
No
different.
Daddy Warbuck.
Yeah, there's
I
none of
had
that.
a really interesting conversation over, I think it was Thanksgiving, between Allison and her daughter, Claire. Her daughter is 20. Allison's a very established attorney. She's, the head partner at her firm. She owns multiple shopping centers in Warrington. Like, she's got quite a bit of investment money, in the works for her. And we were Allison and I were having a political discussion, and she was telling me about this discussion that she had with her daughter. And even though she and I really sit on different sides for political views, she said to me that she was saying to her daughter, because her daughter's like, well, I just, she's like, I just can't, get in line with the Republican Party, and she's all of these injustices, which, what she was listing was rightfully so. And Allison said, and I remember her saying this, and she said, that strikes an emotional chord in you. And she was like, and is it fucked up? Yes. And should these things be happening? No. Are they atrocities? Absolutely. She said, but here's the thing. You have to remove emotion out of it and vote for what is going to affect your wallet the best. And she was like, and when you become older, that is how you start voting. It's not about the social issues, she said, because you start to realize the older you get, social issues are always going to be there. They're always going to be there. They're going to evolve into something different, more extreme, more drastic. Some of them are going to fall away. There's going to be new things that crop up. Who knew we were all going to be fighting for trans people 20 years ago? Nobody could have, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
right.
doubt that anybody saw that one coming, right? But that's the new hot topic to be pissed off about. But when you get to be our age, now it becomes voting for your wallet. Because what is going to affect you in the long run, right? What's going to affect your retirement? What's going to affect your disability?
And your ability
if you
to
ever
help
have-
people that you do care about. So,
Correct.
like, I can't, if I'm homeless and you're trans, I can't help you.
Correct.
But if I'm not, maybe I can be like, hey, come stay with me. Or, hey, let's get you into a program. Or, hey,
Right.
let's, like, find, whatever drugs you need to
Right.
set your hormones, however you need them
Yeah.
set, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's how.
Yeah, but that's that whole thing of trickle down economics. When people get into positions of power, they don't fucking help anybody.
I don't think that that's true, but I also think that we're always talking in the extremes, right? Like, so, I'm a multi-billionaire, I'm in the Illuminati, and I'm controlling everything, and I don't want to help anyone, and whatever. Your money still has to go into the economy. It's being invested into businesses. It's doing something. Nobody's sitting there eating their money. That it doesn't do anything. So, but if you look at someone who's, say, middle class, or maybe I'm considered upper middle class, right? And I start getting taxed a lot more and inflation's crazy. Then I stop going to the nail salon. Now my nail person's not getting that every 2 weeks and their tip, right? I stop shopping at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
I go to Lidl. I don't shop at Odd Provisions, which is a little local store where everything's overpriced because it's bougie, but it's cute, because I'm like, well, and I need to save $1. So now that store goes under. And I think that's how the trickle down works, is more between like a lower and upper middle class, maybe a middle class, rather than, I'm a billionaire, so I'm just going to make rain money down on everyone, like trickling it down.
Yeah, I mean, I look, man, we've gone on into
everywhere, and we never finished. What are your 2024 goals,
Yeah.
Tanya and Huron?
Let's
have
it. I have none.
digress. Anything you guys want to learn this year? Anything you guys want to venture into this year?
I can't think of it, because usually if I want to learn something or venture into or get into it, I do it right now. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
we do.
I don't.
Right
I don't wait.
now.
I don't
Yeah,
wait till
I don't put down.
2024.
Yeah.
I don't wait till next year. If I want to go, and if I say I want to lose weight or gain weight, I'm going to
Just
start
do it.
today.
Do it.
I just don't have any goals.
Yeah.
I don't think about time. I don't think about any of that stuff.
He exists in the moment.
I love that for you.
That's
I
just
do.
how I
Hey,
roll.
hey, look, that's talked about, and I sent her videos all the time about anxiety because she suffers from it, right?
Never sends me shit.
So, well, you don't. I send you stuff and you don't open it. So,
in the group thing, it's too many.
it's so well. That's the whole point. So, but And I sent one thing that said, you know, people that suffer from anxiety don't live in the present. They're either in the depression.
Past or the fresh.
Depression is
Sure.
about living in the past. Anxiety is about stressing about the future. Living in the present is peace. I'm all about living in the present,
Yeah.
man.
I just, you know.
I you know, I'm all about living in the present. And
Word.
I mean, because after January 1st, it's just another day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just why don't you just start it the day before?
I mean, so for my whole camping thing, like that's definitely, it needs to be planned out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
It
there's
needs to be
weather,
warmer.
there's right.
that's a
there's-
whole thing to do.
That's
Yeah,
a whole
yeah.
thing to do. But like,
fuck it, just go in your Jeep and get a tarp. You good?
Space heater.
Hey, thug it out, because what do you always say? If you know, I always ask her, why you watch Naked and Afraid? It's the dumbest fucking show
it is
ever.
not the dumbest show.
Well, if I was dropped in the middle of the Amazon, I would know how to survive.
So here's the
Fuck
thing.
It, do it.
Here's the thing. If let's just say the world went to shit, right? And like everything, there was like a huge blackout. The electronics didn't work anymore. You couldn't go to the fucking grocery store. You couldn't do anything. You have zero skills to survive out in nature.
I would survive.
He's from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Mm.
On what?
Me born in a bush. Me born in a bush, man.
Oh, okay. But do you put those skills to practice? No.
It's like riding a bike. I know how to build a fire. I know how to hunt.
Are you
That's
gonna make
it.
your
I
own
mean-
spears?
Yeah.
Where's
like
your,
hunt
where's
with
your
what?
weapons?
Hunt with what? With what weapons? Do you have a gun? Do you have a crossbow? A slingshot?
I don't have a fucking knife.
Do you know how hard it
Are you
is
gonna
to
chase
hunt
down-
an animal with a knife? You need to watch Naked and Afraid. I'm going to encourage you to do
I'm
that.
picturing Pat chasing down like
That's
a
your
like an
2024
elk,
resolution.
like an elk,
I'm-
and just jumping on the
What do you
elk.
think?
If it were as
Out of a
easy,
tree?
if
Don't
it
be
were
like-
as easy to just kill an animal with a knife without
maybe a
trapping it or
squirrel.
anything, none of those people would be starving.
You think-
by the time they hit 21 days?
So you think because you watch a TV show, you can be dropped in the middle?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
I
okay.
did not say
Okay. I was
that,
about
but
to
I
say.
have watched it to the point where theory has started to apply, right? We know things in theory and then we know things in practicality. Theory has been applied. I have never practically gone out and done any of these things. I don't know that I can. That's kind of why I want to go camping. And
I'm actually surprisingly good at MacGyvering things when I need to, but
Girl.
I just don't. I don't want to, man. Hiram, would you eat meat if you were dropped in the wild and you had to, like a
If
squirrel?
you have to, yeah.
I would not.
To
But
survive,
but the
right?
other
Squirrel.
beauty of that is
I would eat
is
some
the
deer.
herbal part of it, right? Is knowing what plants are around you, knowing what plants you can survive on,
yeah, that's
knowing
right.
what
I would
plants
die
are
eating
poisonous.
So if you were the Argentinian soccer team that the plane went down and they had to eat their dead.
Watch Yellow Jackets.
Have you ever starved? Have you
What?
ever felt really hungry after a few days?
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could just imagine a few weeks of not
21
eating.
days,
Yeah.
yeah.
Y'all
no.
remember y'all remember
Yeah,
that
the frozen
movie?
butt. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
cutting it out, the frozen butt, and never eating it like, like,
Yeah.
like.
I did not see that movie.
Oh,
My
you need
butt
to
would
see
be
it.
delicious.
I don't want to see that movie.
You need to
They
see
ate
it.
that shit like Slim Jim. It was
Yeah,
like
Slim Jim,
It was
yeah.
like it was weird. It was like
You
white
guys
meat
know
and
my
you can-
ex used to be a professional bodybuilder. Like I told you guys that once before. Monica's father used to be a professional bodybuilder. And there were times where me and the kids would just be sitting there and I would just look at one of the kids and be like, you know, if we ever went down in a plane crash or anything, like your dad's thigh would make the greatest roast. The size of it and the
Oh my
muscular
God.
structure. And that's the look they give me like, what the fuck is wrong with
Cannibalism.
To
I
the
mean,
fullest.
you
But
got
you
to.
want a little more fat to get it juicy, you know. So he might have been a little
I'm
too
like
lean.
a more lean cut kind of
Yeah.
girl. I don't know.
I
So-
do like a lean cut of meat too.
So Tanya, we're gonna get off the topic of cannibalism and
Thank you.
and talk about what do you see yourself doing? What are your goals, aspirations?
So I've actually been thinking about it a lot this past week, just because it's, you know, the new year, and I'm not really into the big new me, new you bullshit either. But so last week, my daughter and her friends, which I thought was a really great idea, her college friends, shout out to Black Girl Magic, that's what I call them. They actually, it's like 4 or 5 girls, and they made each other they gave themselves a date, and they did presentations, like PowerPoint presentations on their goals for the year, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cute.
Well, yeah, I thought it was cute, and they shared it with each other, so it helps them be accountable.
Accountable.
You know, and there's nothing weird or anything. And also within this presentation, they talked about like their year 2023, like they listed so many. I don't know. I didn't see it. I'm just going by what I was told. Like so many, like what things worked for 2023, what things didn't work. You know, so it kind of gives you a gauge, I think, on places or within yourself that you need to improve. You know what I mean? Or something that like, yeah, I'll never do this again.
Yeah, what you're taking with you, what you're leaving behind.
Kind of, yeah. So I thought that was really cool. So it's kind of been on my mind lately. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say I have. I hate that resolution thing, but there are things that I, just for myself. There's things that I want to get better at.
Such as.
So I'm gonna sign up and get my PMP hopefully by March. That's my goal.
Woot.
That's one thing I do want to do, but I've already started working on it, so it's not really like my New Year's goal.
What are you talking about?
Project
Project management professional.
PIMP.
Yeah. Well, that was in the 80s. No, I'm just kidding. Stephanie gets me. The rest of y'all don't get me. Stephanie gets me. Anyway, so I mean, I've already started working on that. Like I joined a study group. I don't know, like a month or so ago. So not this week, but every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we do practice via Zoom, which is really cool. So I mean, those things. I mean, I definitely want to work on my professional self for sure. Now that I'm, out of my boot, I started going back to the gym, but I can't like do anything cardiovascular. Everything's, slow and low weight, and that's fine. I'm just trying to build up my skeletal muscle. So, I mean, other than that, I mean,
your skeletal muscle.
Oh, so you weren't in that conversation earlier. So I listened to this podcast a few weeks ago. If I find it, I'll send it to you. And they were talking about once you get like over 50, and above, you really need, it's not about losing weight or anything like that. It's about building your skeletal muscle, because that's everything that keeps, because if your muscles are weak, everything else doesn't really matter. Because you can be skinny with weak muscles, and you're no better than somebody who's fluffy with muscle. You know what I mean? You're less than they are. So your skeletal muscle is everything that keeps your joints moving and all that stuff. So I listened to this thing, and it was really good about building your skeletal muscle. So my focus has been for the last 2 months is working on my skeletal muscle. So it's been a slow progress because I couldn't do a whole lot with my foot. Like I still can't go in the gym and do cardio, but I just do weights, and I do them.
Can you row?
I haven't tried it yet because of my foot. I wanted to do that,
but it's an upper body. It's
full body.
It's full body because you use a lot.
But
of
it might
knees.
be comfortable.
Well, I was only thinking because you have to put your feet out. Like I was afraid I was going to accidentally press. You know what I mean? Press on my foot. So I mean, now I could probably try it. But it was a really interesting thing they're talking about. This guy wrote a whole book on the skeletal muscle, and he did all this research in different ages, and it mostly affected older people. Because your muscle gets weaker. So if you keep that together, most of your health in general will be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because falls and balance. And all that.
Exactly. So my goal is to increase that because from being on the scooter for 2 months, my knee got super weak. I mean, super weak because, it was up. And when I was on the scooter, my entire weight was on that and then on my legs. So both my knees are like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And what I don't want is a knee replacement. So I'm like trying to build up my thighs, my calves, and get that together to keep, because they hurt all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think I stopped taking the magnesium. So I think they become inflamed. So I got to work on that. Yeah. So that's health, basically, my professional life.
So Haran, nothing. Patricia?
I mean, how do you improve on perfection, Pat?
How do you?
Like, I don't know. I don't.
There is that. I mean,
no, I don't do resolution.
You're healthy.
She is a healthy, educated white woman. She has got it all.
I know, and she's happy. What the hell?
She's happy.
You've won life's lottery.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have Haran as a boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
come on.
You got great friends sitting here.
Yeah, she's good. She's got it all.
No, I'd love for us to do more podcasts again, and just that kind of stuff. Like I think I'm like with Haran too. Like sometimes if you want to do something, if you're like, oh, I'll start this on Monday or I'll do this then, that can be like you're just going to put it off or whatever. But I mean, certain things take planning.
I'll tell you guys, and
we had a pretty good 2023 enjoying life, so I'd like to continue that streak.
I appreciate everyone listening to this episode because I don't think we've done this ever since like the first or second or third podcast where we just sit around and talk about nothing. Like this was an episode about nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's actually
it's
what
Seinfeld.
That's actually what I'm going to label this. A real energy podcast about nothing.
But so therapeutic.
You
though.
should use it. You should use the Seinfeld music.
Because literally, we just sat around.
actually a
We
great
just sat
idea.
around and just talked about a bunch of random ass shit.
But we didn't talk about the social topics. But go ahead.
The who?
The
social
social topics.
Like pop culture topics.
Yo,
I
can
was
we
saying-
please talk about Diddy really quick? Can we just give 15 minutes to this? We need to.
Please, Dad.
This needs to be talked about.
My face.
What's that? What's Diddy's?
Sean Puffy Combs.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
his.
Puff Daddy.
Okay, all right, go. Yeah, y'all are the burden out random shit right now. Go.
Okay, so has everybody?
No, what's going on? Talk to us.
Okay.
Oh my God! So I was so behind on this, but now I know Cassie, P Diddy,
So
Phyllis. In.
his artist, P. Diddy's artist Cassie, came out with a lawsuit against him for sexual harassment, sexual assault. He was making her sleep with other men in front of her at these sex
In
parties.
front of him?
In front of him at these sex parties. And now it has spun into this whole thing of whether or not Diddy killed Kim Porter, whether or not he tried to kill Albie Shore,
Oh, I missed
Heavy
all
D,
that.
Andre Harrell.
Whoa, okay, I didn't know about all that.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
me. This is new.
So
Yeah, it's going down a
it's if you go down
the
this rabbit hole on this subject. So the law. We'll start with the lawsuit with Cassie. This triggered all of these people to come out of the woodworks and be like, "Yo, a lot of artists,
Me too.
Method Man." A lot of rappers have come out and been like, "Oh yeah, if you've ever been to a Diddy party, you know that there's a lot of male on male dick sucking going on at these parties. Diddy is out here, with gay behavior, which that's fine. If Diddy wants to be gay, go be great. But when you are forcing other people, mainly young girls who are 17, 18 years old, and you are now molding them to participate in this behavior against their will because you're holding record contracts over their heads, money over their heads, you now have the knowledge that this individual has hurt other people who have spoken out against him, and you're afraid to do anything about it. Diddy settled that lawsuit in 4 days.
Nuh-uh, it was 24 hours.
Was
All
it
right.
24 hours?
It came out, and then 24 hours
Hold
later.
On. So, all right, let's put a little spin on that because Diddy didn't settle the lawsuit. His partners did.
His partners
okay.
did.
The reason why his partners did is because Cassie's lawyer did the great thing. They didn't sue Diddy. They sued the They sued the corporation.
Yeah.
And the partners. And it was the corporation and the partners that settled it
Yeah,
Oh.
immediately.
immediately.
So now you go a little
Do
bit
we know
further.
for how much?
30. It was like $33 million.
Yeah, girl.
and she had
But
only
she had to sign an NDA.
no.
Yes, she did.
Her NDA expired. That's why she enacted that lawsuit. She had already signed an NDA, and it came to an expiration. That's why she filed the suit.
I know, but the part of that settlement is a new NDA.
know.
Oh, that she
NDA.
can't talk about it anymore.
Moving
Oh,
forward.
gotcha.
But she had only asked for $4 million. They settled for like 34.
They want her-
33, 34.
They want her never to
wanted
open her
shut
mouth
up.
ever again.
I wouldn't.
But
either.
now that all of these allegations are starting to come out, this is about to be the next surviving R. Kelly. It's about to be surviving Diddy. And all of his artists are starting to speak, all of his former artists are starting to speak out against him. Danity Kane, Audrey,
I know you're talking
I
about.
can't remember her last name,
Yeah.
Audrey something, but she was the lead singer from Danity Kane.
Yep.
There are quite a few journalists that have come out and also spoken out against him. But the newest thing is that because you see a lot of pictures of Diddy with TD Jakes, and that TD Jakes has notoriously been at these Diddy parties. And what was he doing there? You're a bishop, you're a preacher. Why are you at these sex parties? And they're saying that because I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was last weekend, TD Jakes came out and was like,
And even if
I'm not going to address the lies and allegations against me. I'm just going to get in the pulpit and speak the truth. And then
he came out and in a sermon, he was like, and even if the allegations were true, the blood of my Christ is good enough to wash away my sins. If that ain't a freaking
See,
admission,
this is like my gay behavior is just a sin, so no worries.
exactly.
If-
We all sin. You're cursing today.
Yeah.
if that is not an admission of guilt, I don't know what is.
I think what the biggest thing for me is that through all of these allegations coming out and all of these different artists coming out saying, oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I saw XYZ when I was at this party. 50 Cent is coming out hard against Diddy and his behavior. Method Man has come out hard against Mace. Like, I mean, all of these different artists have come out. Now, my thing is that everybody knows that this is what's going on, that this type of abusive behavior is what's going on.
Well, this is
and
the
it
whole
is-
Hollywood secret, right?
Right.
So
like
he's
the
got
music
wild sex
industry.
parties. So P.
was-
Diddy's
it-
got wild sex parties.
It was the
They're
Harvey
With young
Weinstein.
people.
It was the
They're
Harvey
drugging
Weinstein.
and raping people, though. At
But
these
it was
parties.
it's the Harvey Weinstein thing.
It's like
And
Jeffrey
Jeff
Epstein,
Epstein. Yep.
meets
Yes.
Harvey Weinstein
And
Yes.
made him black.
It's all the
and
steams.
made him black.
Because I don't know if you've ever heard the rumors about these artists that get signed to these rappers that are getting signed to these deals, and they're going to these parties. They're lacing their drinks with drugs and making them, basically roofing
They're
them.
probably trafficking people too, because
Yeah.
who has the money to?
Well, part of Cassie's lawsuit was that she was sex trafficked through this whole thing. But these artists are going to these parties to get signed, and they're lacing their drinks with roofies, and then they are having, while they're in these drug-induced comas, they're having gay sex acts performed on them, videoed, and then they're like,
Blackmailed.
Blackmailed.
you're going to sign this deal. We're going to get X amount of cut of your money, and there's really nothing you can fucking do about it unless you want me to put this tape out in your neighborhood and show everybody where you're from, what you were doing.
P. Diddy's next album is going to be called Sounds of Freedom.
I'm telling you right now, I'm just waiting for the whole surviving P. Diddy.
It's going to
shit,
happen.
Shit that comes out, because this, that's what brought down R. Kelly. Everybody knew of what R. Kelly was doing. Everybody turned a blind eye because everybody was making money off the
Same
situation.
thing with Weinstein.
I mean, they're
You know?
they're showing old videos, old clips of Diddy though in interviews. Like there was this one, I think it was a New Year's Eve special that Kevin Hart was hosting, and he was talking to Diddy, and Diddy is sitting on a bed, and Kevin Hart was like, "Yo, I don't want to have this interview and do this shot with him on the bed. Like I don't want the bed anywhere in the shot."
That sounds like Kevin Hart.
And you can
No
you
bed.
can hear it in his voice, like he's saying what he doesn't want to say without saying the words, and then all of a sudden Usher comes up into the mix of the interview, and Diddy immediately starts talking about, oh, and this is my little brother right here, and we used to, when we would get out of bed in the morning, we would, wrestle with each other. And as soon as he said that, Kevin Hart had the same look you just had on your face, like, yo, what did you just? And he literally stops the interview and looks at Diddy, and he's like, yo, what the
Usher?
fuck did you just say?
Usher did?
No,
Kevin Hart
Kevin Hart.
said
Kevin
that when Diddy started talking about
We can find that video online?
yes.
Send that to the
Yeah,
group.
when what he was talking about with Usher, and I don't know if you remember the history of that, but Usher came into Diddy's fold when he was like 13. So did Justin Bieber. There's videos of Diddy and Bieber, and Diddy is literally saying the same thing about Bieber, and you can see how uncomfortable Bieber looks. Like when he's like 13, 14, 15 years old, you can just see like the look of fear on his face to not say the wrong thing, and that something has been going on.
Bieber was literally calling him Puff Daddy.
Yes.
Oh my God, he's just with one-liners over
all
here.
Literally
it's
calling
always
him
wrong.
daddy.
Daddy.
But
P.
that's
why he changed his name to P. Diddy. He probably was like, too many people call me Daddy.
That shows you the extent of what people do to sell their souls to be famous.
And let's go back to the whole money conversation we had before. We were just talking about earlier.
When is enough enough?
When is enough enough?
Yeah.
And I told you, people that have money, they don't have a clue, because yeah, P. Diddy's making the most money, but he was making other people make money that didn't have crap, so they got a little bit of money, and they're like, well, I'll just let this slide. I ain't letting shit slide.
Like that man has been making money.
Since he was 19 years old?
He's been making money off of Biggie for more years than Biggie was actually alive. And that's sad.
And performed.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's sad.
But that's that whole adage of what happens in the dark will come to light at some point.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? At some
Yeah.
point. So
That's true.
this has been fantastic. Getting back into the swing of things. It's been a minute since we podcast. Missed y'all.
Missed you too.
I wish our militant brother was here with us.
I know.
Oh, I would have loved for him to chime in on that conversation. Would have been awesome.
You know he would have had a whole
Yeah.
lot to say. Keith,
Yeah.
we love you.
We can recap it for him.
Yes.
Yeah, I miss my militant brother.
COVID Keith.
Keith. Wakanda forever. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Real Energy Podcast. Be able to look at us on YouTube, Facebook, IG, TikTok, wherever you get your podcasts. Peace.